Welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I'm Kyra. Thank you all for joining today. So I am back and I have Joanna with me. So welcome, Joanna, to the Glow Up Girl podcast.
Thank you, Kyra. I'm so excited to be here. A little side note, I was waiting for 6 months to be on this podcast. So girl, I am excited. Let's start talking. I'm serious.
Yes.
Wait list, everybody.
Yes. I know when I thought about it, I was like, oh my gosh, like we booked this so long ago. I thought about that. So let's dive in. Why don't you tell everybody listening and watching who you are and what you do?
I am a fitness and dance instructor and entrepreneur. I've never had a corporate job. So I'm in my 40s, but I like to say I'm a hip 40. I'm like the J-Lo in training, right? And so when I went to college, Kyra, I was mimicking what everybody else was doing. So this was back in the mid 90s. Everybody was going to college, went there, and I hated it. So I left and I started creating my own businesses. So I've owned a dance studio. I've produced dance competitions. I've had a fitness studio. I now teach online. I have my own podcast as well. So I am a serial entrepreneur that loves to have my hands in many different things.
So, I mean, that will bring me to an immediate question for you. Like, how did you know? How did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur and you were like, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing?
That's such a good question, because back in the 90s, it was not cool to be a business owner as a female. Like, especially a Latina. It was like, what's wrong with you? It was not hashtag girl boss and everybody behind you. No, it was everybody pulling you down, including your parents. I mean, everybody was like, you're crazy. Yeah. But I always knew. Ever since I was a young girl, I was watching Paula Abdul. If everybody else, shout out to Paula Abdul. And I knew I had a download from God, life, universe. And I just knew that that's what I was going to do. And I always felt like I was a little bit different, a lot different, like a unicorn. And I never found my people until now, like 2020, 2021, like everybody just started to change. I'm like, here are my people. I've been all looking for you for so many years. And shout out to like the younger generations, like they're doing it. And then shout out to like the older generations for paving the way. You know, it was harder. We paved the way, but now, gosh, so that's how I knew. It's not the greatest answer, but I just knew I was different. And I'm so grateful that I had that tenacity to go, yes, I'm not going to listen to you. I was that unicorn that said, I'm not going to do it. So my parents cut me off when I was 18. Like, okay, if you're not going to do this, if you leave college, we're going to cut you off. And I'm so grateful for that because it made me scrappy. It made me hustle. It made me tough. I'm like, I know I would not be the entrepreneur I am today if I was coddled.
Right. Yeah. Well, and also you had courage because like you said, and that time, I mean, I was going to college in the 90s, and it was because you were almost trained. You were trained to, you go to school, you graduate, you go to college, you get an internship, you get a great job, right? That was sort of the path that we knew back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get married and do this. And then that equals happiness. This is the formula. And I was always like, wait, like raising my finger going, I don't want to do that. You know, I don't see that path. Yeah. And so to choose something different as my friends, Kyra, I like to say this. I had my midlife crisis at 17. Now, when a lot of people have it at 35 or 40, and they're like, I want a divorce. I'm out of here. I'm going to change my job. I'm leaving corporate. I'm like, oh, I just did it earlier. Yeah. That's it. That was the only difference.
Yeah. But hey, look at you now. So, So of course, you deciding I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I know it wasn't always easy. So let's talk through some of, I guess you could say, some of those more challenging moments in your time as an entrepreneur.
Okay, very dark times. There's big pivotal ones. The first one, I was producing a dance competition. It's a hip hop dance competition. We're 4 years in. And I really thought, when you own a business, it takes a few years sometimes to arc to like, okay, we're finally going to turn a profit. And this fourth year, I lost about $5,000. Now, at 24, when I was scaled to make money, 5,000 felt like a gazillion dollars.
Yeah.
And I left that dance competition in tears. And I went into such a depression that I was in the house for about 2 months. I never left. And I lost my apartment and my dad. And I never wanted my dad to see me depressed or like that I failed, because I said, this is what I'm going to do. And he came to my house, to my apartment at the time. And he's like, get in the car. And he didn't know how to deal with me, right? He's like, I don't know. He wasn't that soft type of dad. My mom tells him to pick me up. He drives me to the hospital because they thought I was going to kill myself, which I probably was. So now I'm in the hospital. And back in the day when you said you were going to kill yourself or commit suicide, you went right to the front. I don't know if it's different now. You know, I think now with mental health, it's a little more open. Nobody talked about it back in the day. So it's like, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world. Send this girl to the front. It was like I got special treatment more than a gunshot wound. And so right after that, Kyra, I went to a mental hospital. So they thought just because I was sad, because I felt like a failure, they thought I was crazy. It's so interesting. And I'm like, I'm not crazy. So now I'm in this mental hospital in Los Angeles with men that are double my age. I'm at that time, I think I said I was 24, but I think I was more about 22. So I was pretty young and very naive.
Right.
And I kept shouting, like, I'm not crazy. And the more I'm yelling in this hospital, they're thinking I'm not crazy.
Like, you're crazy.
This girl's crazy. I'm like, I'm not crazy. I don't want to take this medicine. I'm not crazy. But what I said like 5 minutes ago, I'm like, thank God I had that tenacity to not believe them that I was crazy or bipolar or here, take this medicine. And I fought and I fought and I fought with my knowing that I'm just sad. I feel like that's it. I was just sad. I was mourning the loss of this business and the money, etc. Now, to everybody else, the competition looked great. But I knew what was happening behind the scenes, that the business was failing 4 years in. And something happened. It was like, I just get these downloads. I don't know if anybody else listening just gets these like knowings from God, life. It's like, boom. And I had this knowing 2 months later, get back up and you're going to do it again. Everybody was like, don't do it. Quit. What are you doing? And I got back in and we just celebrated our 21st anniversary last month. So from 4 years. Yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations.
But I was this close to go. Joanna, and let me tell you, that was 5,000 then. And that was total. Probably I was out 30 grand. So just, it was 5,000 then. Okay. 7 here. The year before it was 8 there. The year before it was 5 there. I mean, it was a big chunk of money when you add it together.
Right.
So that was one. Another one, I also got sued. I had somebody embezzle money from me, almost $250,000, and then sued me back for $250,000.
Oh my gosh.
It was like, it could be a movie, Kyra. And everybody's like, how did you get through it?
Yeah.
And again, it was my knowing. I just knew, I'm like, he is not going to win. I would meditate. I would get on the treadmill and I would see that I'm like, everything's going to be okay. Again, I knew everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And a lot of it, Kyra, was explaining to people to trust me. Because everybody around me was like, dude, give up already. Give up. Why are you doing this? You're going back. You already lost this money. This guy's suing you. I mean, I have so many stories of that nature. And a lot of it was mindset over skill set. Mindset over skill set. And I kept sharpening my mindset. I went to Tony Robbins. I mean, you name it, Kyra, did every single self-development book, training, walked on fire 1 million times, jumped out of airplanes. I did everything in my power to sharpen my mindset because I knew that nobody could ever take away what was upstairs.
Yes. Yes. Oh man. Wow. What?
Where do we go from here?
What an interesting background and journey you have been on. Yeah. Wow. Like, I mean, I know you talked about, mindset, and it is about sharpening that mindset. But did you ever find yourself at all in a place where, I know you said there was a time when you were sad, right? Um, so after that experience, did you ever have other moments of, oh my God, what is happening here?
Oh,
Um,
heck yes.
and and how did you start? I know you said, you've got Tony Robbins and you've got self-help, gurus who can help you. But what have you found for yourself, like personally? What would you say to someone out there now that might be right now in a similar position that's saying, I just might have to throw in the towel?
Such a good question. I have the goosebumps as you asked me this. Right before the pandemic, I was with my boyfriend of 3 years. We lived together. He was the love of my life. I truly believed that we were going to grow old together. And out of the blue, he breaks up with me. I was devastated. Kyra, I was so devastated that my knee, I was walking with a cane for 2 months, a cane, because it manifested and it transferred into my body. I was not willing to move forward. I was not willing to walk forward. So the knee was my body was communing with me saying, you're not okay.
Right.
And so then the pandemic hit. I also closed my business, my fitness studio, closed it. And there was a moment I met my new boyfriend, and he's even better, Kyra, because I'm going to explain this. But I had a moment where I was crying every day in 2020. And I'm like, God, life, universe, if you put one more brick in my backpack, I think I'm going to break. I honestly think I'm going to break. I mean, right now I could feel it.
Yeah.
And this is what I did. I discovered these tools because I had hit a ceiling. Like you said, Tony Robbins, I did this. I hit a ceiling. I was like, I did it all. What else? Because I'm still freaking miserable.
Yeah.
And what I learned is that I was living in conclusion. I was not living in curiosity. And this is my gift that I want to spread on this planet is now, Kyra, I live in question. And it changed my freaking life.
Okay.
Now,
yes.
Okay, so I want to explain, when we're little kids and we all ask so many questions. When are we going to get there? What are we going to do? When's Santa coming? Blah, blah, blah. And we hear like a record player, stop asking so many questions. Stop. Why are you asking so many questions? Stop asking so many questions. Kids are meant to be seen and not heard over and over and over again. So we learn not to ask questions. If you teach 3-year-olds a class and you ask a question, they'll all raise their hand, even if they don't know the answer, because they're just curious and they want to just pay attention. Now, adults, if you were to ask a question, it's pulling teeth for somebody to raise their hand.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my God, yes.
Because the worst thing on the planet now as an adult is to be wrong. Everything we're doing, Kyra, on this planet, like every day you're going through, you just don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. My boyfriend left me. I was wrong. I lost my business. I'm wrong. I lost this money in my business. I'm wrong. So everything I was doing was running away from being wrong. And here's the thing. Everybody lean in. You're not wrong. You've never been wrong. You'll never be wrong. You're not wrong. Everything is a choice. It's just a choice we made. It's like, oh, cool. That led me here. And see, that's curiosity. So as kids, we're taught not to ask questions. So we turn off that muscle, turn it off. And now we live in conclusion and we're taught to always have the answers. When you go to school, if you have the right answers, you get an A. If you have the wrong answers, you get an F.
Yeah.
Right answers equal good. Wrong answers equal bad.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now what if there's no right or wrong answers? And what if we just live in curiosity?
Yes.
And so my favorite question to ask is, how does it get any better than this?
Oh, interesting.
How does it get any better than this? Now, here's the 3-step process.
Okay.
You ask the question and you get curious. Now, everybody listening, you got to get really curious. And step 2 is you don't answer the question. That's the hardest part. Because your brain wants to go, well, how does it get better? Well, right now I'm here with Kyra, and somebody gives me a margarita, or somebody gives me $1 million, or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. But here's the thing. My brain is going to answer it with my past. Your brain is going to answer it with your past. So what happens is, when we answer our questions, we cap the possibilities. We cap unlimited and infinite and freaking amazing possibilities when we answer it. And here's the third step. You don't answer it. Third thing is, you're open and you listen for the feather touches. You listen for the butterfly kisses, little things that come in. It's so slight. So I'm going to give you an example. When I was with my boyfriend before and my other businesses, I would say, ooh, I love it. How does it get better than this? And then he broke up with me. And I'm like, that's how it gets better? Here's the thing. It never shows up the way you think it's going to show up.
Exactly. Yeah.
It never shows up that way. And now I have a new boyfriend, and he's better. He's better. And I'm like, I never thought I can have better, because in my mind, that was a cap of how good it can be. The business in the past, I believed that was the best it could be. And I said, how can it get better? And I closed it during COVID. And now, Kyra, I am the happiest I've ever been. But it doesn't show up. People think, well, it gets better by closing your business. It gets better by losing the love. Yeah, because I got a better love. And so I teach this, how to live in question. Literally, everything is a question. Even before you and I recorded today, I asked a question. I wonder what I could say that all the listeners can resonate with. And then I didn't answer it. And then I just allow whatever's going to come through my mouth to say for whomever needs to hear it.
Yes.
And so anything now, and here's the next thing, little asterisk to add to it. When you ask a question, my favorite one is, how does it get any better than this? It's very general. Now, you can ask it when something great happens, and you can ask it when something horrible happens. For example, let's say you have the best sex of your life. You're like, oh my gosh, how does it get any better than this? Now, we're taught, Kyra, to be grateful for what you have. Don't ask for more. Be quiet and just be humble for what you have. So it doesn't get any better than that. We've all heard that saying. It doesn't get any better. And God's like, I want it to be better. Let's make it better.
Let me give you more. Let me show you the better.
Right? How does it get any better? Okay. So let's say you had the best sex of your life. How does it get any better? Now, it could get better in many different ways. Somebody could give you the best chocolate ice cream you've had. Somebody can gift you a new job, money. But we think how it gets better is better sex. Do you see the conclusion there? You just had great sex. Now you're like, how does it get better? And we assume that it's going to be through sex. No, what if it's something else?
Right.
Okay. So that's one. The other thing is, let's say somebody passes away, like something horrible happens, and you're just like down and out. I lost my business. And when I lost my business, I was like, how does it get any better than this? How does it get better? Show me how it gets better. But not with the show me how it gets better with that energy. It's literal curiosity of like, how does it get better than this?
Exactly.
Now, it's like a prayer, but it's a little bit different because now it opens infinite possibilities. Sometimes when we pray, we cap it because we're praying for something.
We ask for certain things. We ask for the thing that we want then. Yeah.
Exactly. You're asking for XYZ. But what if God, life, universe wants to give you ABC because it's better? But you're asking for XYZ. So it's like, okay, well, here you go. And then here's the thing. Have you ever manifested or created something in your life? And then when you get it, you're like, that's it. Right?
Yeah.
You're laughing. Right?
This is what I wanted. Like, this was it.
This is it. Oh, I'm bored already. Why? Because life wanted to give you something even better.
Yeah.
Better.
Yes.
And so that's when you ask me, how did you change it? I promise you, I know it sounds so like simple and like, that's it. I changed it by getting curious and everything. I'm talking everything, 24 hours a day. I even dream in question. I train myself so much that when I'm dreaming, I ask questions.
Mhm.
When I, the other day there was an earthquake. I'm scared. And I ask right at that second, I'm like, how does it get any better? How does it get better? Because I'm scared. What if I like die right now? The ceiling falls down, etc. This might be the last moment. How does it get any better? But many of us go into fear and conclusion. And what we're taught to is to think about a mantra. And it's like, but a mantra just caps us again. You know, I am fine. I am good. But sometimes you don't believe it. And if you ask a question, it opens up infinite possibilities, and it makes your life better.
Yes. And you know, I mean, you say something that is interesting. Like, yes, it seems like it is simple, but it goes back to what you said earlier about training and sharpening your mindset. Because if you can ask questions all day, but if your mindset isn't aligning and you're not on the same page, then you will just go back to capping. You'll go back to the same thing. But I find that to be so interesting because I do consider myself to be a very curious person, and I do like to ask questions that I never thought about applying it to my own life in the way that you just talked about.
Ooh, that's good.
I like that. That is really good. That's really good.
It's a game changer, because you're right. With my business, I would ask questions like, oh, where do my clients come from next? Where do I need to get this money? And we're taught that. Like, that's the new thing right now, is to ask questions. But I think the extra thing is not to answer it. Like, really allow the awareness to come in, but you gotta listen. Because some of my clients, they're like, I'm asking the questions and it's not working. I'm like, is that a question or a statement though? Are you asking questions? Or are you asking it with a, to the end of it? Yeah.
Well, and are you trying to solve and answer it? Because that's another thing. So like you said, yes, whatever your belief system is, whatever you believe, whoever you pray to, speak to. So if I ask, say, for example, with my business, if I'm asking God, hey, God, how does it get better? How am I going to get partnerships? Who's my next partner going to be? But if I'm out there doing all the work to try to find the partner, and I'm not leaving any room for the belief that the possibilities are endless and open, and I want the best. Like, I don't just want the one partner. I want the best that you have to give to me. And a lot of times we, like you said, we cap ourselves because we've got this idea of what it is we think we want. And when there was really this greater opportunity out there.
Yes, Kara, I want to touch on that, because when we do vision boards, like that's the big rage, right? Vision boards.
Yes.
When we do vision boards, they're wonderful, but they also cap us. They're like, this is what I want. So I'll do vision boards and then I write it at the bottom. And what else? Or how does it get better than this? Or I'll add some kind of question just all kinds of stuff. But if you're like, I have to have this house and it has to look like this, you're going to get that house. And when you get it, you're going to be bored. You're going to be bored because you're like, you've already seen it. You already did it. You're like, next. But what if you got an even better house and a different house? Like, Kara, one of the questions I've been asking lately is like, what's next for me? I'm in this position right now because things have changed, after the pandemic. And I'm like, what's next? And it's so interesting that yesterday I had 2 girlfriends text me and they're like, hey, we want to take you out to lunch and talk about this opportunity, for a new business. And right away I went, I'm like, and I asked, what is that? It was my cap of that. I thought it shouldn't look like that. It's supposed to look different. And then God, life, universe is like, I'm giving you what you asked, but you're not listening. So I went to the meeting and I was like, Joanna, go into the meeting with total openness and awareness, not with the answer, not with this is the right or wrong way. I'm totally open. Yeah. So I went into it totally open and I'm like, la, la, la. But before I would have gone up with my wall up and I'm already with my dukes up, okay, what do they want to pick my brain about? You all know what I'm talking about, right? You're already going with conclusions. That's a conclusion. But I went in with curiosity. I wonder what we're going to talk about. Girl, it was the best conversation. And I'm like, I like these girls. Oh my God. I probably would have said no. But I'm like, oh, well, maybe I wonder if this is the answer. I wonder. And it was, if this was the awareness, not the answer, because answers and awareness are different. Answers are conclusions and awareness is infinite. And awareness is when you can't put words to it. Have you ever had that? You're like, I just can't put words to this. It's like a dream. You know, when you have a dream and you can't explain it?
Yes.
That's awareness. Answers are like, I can explain it. I'm like, I love living in awareness where words can't even put it together. And it's like, and it keeps getting better and better and better and more easeful. Because life isn't easy, but how can I have more ease? That's another question I ask. How can I have more ease with this? How can this podcast recording be easeful and not easy? Right? So I like to play with that.
Yes. And that's a very, I think, interesting point. I definitely am a person who, like, if I feel like God is pointing a lot of signs to me, because this is the second time I had another interview earlier today. And this is the second conversation where someone has talked about the ease of doing something. And that's one of the things that's been on my mind for 2022, just, being a working entrepreneur. It's like, how can I set up things so that it is easier and more seamless for me to do the things with Glow Up Gyrl so that I have more time? Because, when you're a solopreneur, you're doing it all. You're the admin, you're the creative, you're all those things. And so I'm just receiving this, because this is the second time that this has come to my to my viewpoint. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And those are the feather touches.
Yes.
I'm listening. Okay. I get it. Okay. And that movie Finding Nemo, but it's part 2.
Oh, is that the one with Dory?
Yeah. Finding Dory or whatever one that one is. But when she's looking for the seashells, if anybody listening, she's like, just keep following the seashells. Next seashell, because she can't remember. Dory, she forgets. Next seashell, next seashell, next. And that's how I feel with my life. Just, I'm waiting for the awareness and I go to the next one and I just keep doing what I need to do. And I make a choice, make a choice, make a choice. And choice creates awareness. I'm going to say that one more time. Choice creates awareness, because many times we can ask a question, we can wait for the awareness, and then we end up doing nothing. Because we believe that, well, I don't know what to do yet. I don't have the answers. God hasn't spoken to me yet. Girl, just make a choice, do something. Because when you make a choice, then you'll know, I like this. Oh, I don't like this. Yes. Make a choice. You go to a buffet, make a choice and you'll taste it and go, oh, I don't like that. So yesterday when I went to lunch with those girls, I made the choice to go to the lunch. Exactly. And then I made the choice to get in the car. And then I made the choice to ask a question. I made the choice what to wear. I made the choice where to sit. I made the choice what to eat for lunch. I made the choice what to talk about. It's like I just kept choosing, rather than going into it with already a conclusion of how the meeting was going to end. Like I already wrote the end of the book. Oh, we do that all the time. It's like, well, I don't know. I'm going to go to this meeting, but I don't think it's going to go well. Yes. Dang, it hasn't even happened yet.
Like you were there? Like you already were there? I mean, God.
Like, okay, because I just saw you here. I don't see you at the lunch. Okay.
I mean, if you're that good, then you should just give me the lottery numbers. If you already know the conclusions, just go ahead and write them down. Let me go out there and get that money.
I'm going to use that next time. If you're that good, if you know everything, then just go play the lotto and stop that.
So I find it's either like you said, you've made the assumption and come to the conclusion, or people do nothing. Like you said, make a choice, or it's like they do nothing. Well, I just don't know. I don't have enough information. That's just analysis paralysis.
You will have information when you make a choice. You make a choice and then you'll have information. You've all done that, right? You'll make a choice and then go, oh, but here's another thing. Remember I was talking about, we were taught not to ask questions. We were also taught to make a choice and then stay with it forever until death do us part. I'm I don't know about y'all, but you can make a choice and you can change your mind.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That is the great thing about freedom and the power to decide, is that you can change your mind.
We have freedom and we don't use it.
Yeah.
Like, people would die for freedom. We're here in the United States. We have freedom and we're not using it. Make a choice and then you change your mind. Now, but I'm going to add this in a little asterisk. Decommit with honor. Because a lot of people will make a choice, change their mind, and then ghost.
Yeah.
Because they're embarrassed or shameful, etc. When you decommit with honor, now that's a badass.
Yes.
When you call up somebody and go, you know what? I changed my mind. Not going to be able to make it anymore. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Instead of ghosting. Now that's hashtag boss.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it just means that you use your freedom of will to make a decision, the best decision for you. Because like you said, if you may have committed to something before, then you maybe got the facts and the information. And as you started to look at all of it and you said, actually, I don't think this is the best thing for me right now. So let me let them know and tell someone. Because you're right. A lot of people, it's not cool, people, when you just disappear. Don't ghost anybody.
Yeah, because that eats you up. Resentment to yourself.
It should. But there are some people like it should, but there are some people who can just ghost and just be like, oh,
whatever.
And there's nothing better than a ghoster that comes back.
Like nothing happened.
So you think that we're just going to be friends again? I don't think so.
Like a true haunting in your house. That's a true ghost. No, we need to exorcise you. Exorcism.
Exactly. So Joanna, I know that you talk about, you do a 30-day challenge.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, you know what? It's so interesting. Let's go back. You know, the way life works. When I signed up for this podcast, I was going live and doing 30-day challenges for the full year. So it's come to the end. But you know what? I've been wanting to bring it back, and I've been asking what's next.
Bring it back, girl.
Yeah. So everybody, you can follow me on Instagram, Joanna Vargas Official, and I do free 30-day challenges, and I go live every day. Okay. And every 30 day is something different. So I've done like make your bed for 30 days. And I go live and I'll show you that I'm making my bed. Another one is we journaled for 30 days. Another one is we read a book. Another one is we meditated. We walked for 30 days. But my favorite one was making the bed. That one was the biggest game changer. The biggest game. And then if you're listening and you're like, well, I make my bed every day. Okay, how can you level it up? How can you change it up? How can you inspire somebody else to make their bed? How can you make your bed maybe earlier in the day? I mean, there's so many ways where you could level it up, spray your bed with Febreze when you get up. I mean, that was a game changer because your environment is so important. It will help you with your business, with your life, with family, because when your environment is like cluttered, then your mind is cluttered.
Yes. And I remember telling people like, gosh, how do you not make the bed? Because people are, I don't make my bed. I just get up. I got enough time to get up, get ready. And of course, I know now, since we are still, living in a pandemic and people are still working at home, I know there are people that are like, I wake up in enough time to roll out of bed and sit at this computer. And I'm like, oh God. I mean, now I have always made my bed up, but I get up first and my husband makes the bed up, but he makes the bed up every day, but I would still make my bed up anyway. And I do agree with you. Like if your environment and space is cluttered, like your brain has to be cluttered, because it's like, now look, I have organized clutter, which is not like stuff everywhere, but it's like maybe a notebook here, 2 books here, but I know what those 2 books are. I know what this notebook is. And that's like ease of me being able to get the stuff. But when you just got like a desk full of mess, or you're stepping over stuff in your bedroom, like how in the world you could be like, I'm like, how can you live like this?
Yes. Like, how am I building my business? The way you do anything is the way you do everything. So if that's cluttered, your mind's cluttered, your business cluttered. I always think if I'm not home and I need to call somebody and go, can you grab this for me? They could find it.
Yes.
They're not going through the piles of clothes because only I know where it is and I got to find it. Is it easy to find for anybody? Like, how does your Dropbox look? How does your Google Drive look? That's another one. Is your Dropbox clean? Or is it like nobody can find a document? How are you going to hire or, double your business or even your life? Even if you have a paper in Dropbox and you're sick and you need somebody to find it and they can't find it because it is cluttered.
You just got pictures and whatnots everywhere. Like, yeah. Oh, I love that idea. That's a great idea. And yes, everybody, please, one more time, tell us where to find you online and how to follow you on Instagram.
Please follow on Instagram at Joanna Vargas Official. Send me a DM and screenshot this episode and DM us both. That'd be fun. Let us know
yes.
ways work. And let us know if you're asking questions.
Yes. And I will also put the links in the show notes as well, so you can find them there. Well, this has been a great conversation. I feel like I've taken on a new challenge to challenge myself to just continue to be curious and ask myself questions, as opposed to, if I ask one, trying to already answer it. Like, it is simple reminders.
Yes. When I started, I put it on my phone. I had to go off every hour. What else is possible? How does it get any better? And then I'm like, okay, don't answer it. Cause I was so programmed.
Yeah. You're like, wait, I know. No, you don't. No, you don't, girl. All right. Well, now let's move into our last segment, 5 Things with Joanna. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions that's going to help our audience learn a little bit more about you. So first, how do you start the day?
I start right away. First thing is I drink 1 liter of warm water. 1 liter of warm water. And if you haven't done this before, work your way up, because if you drink that much, you might get a tummy ache.
What's one goal you've set for yourself in 2022?
2022 for me, the goal is to create a new financial reality. It's very broad, and I like to set targets that are broad, and it's more of a feeling. And it's a new financial reality of a new way of thinking and a new sharpening of my mindset for finances.
Awesome. What do you do on your day off?
Day off, I like to go to the beach and be with the ocean, water, nature. And nature is so aware. I mean, animals are so aware. And that's how I reconnect, and I reconnect with nature. And I love the park too. Fell in love with the park during the pandemic. We were all going to the park and hanging out.
Awesome. What's some of the songs in your current playlist that you're loving?
OMG. Okay. I love music. So when I teach fitness, every genre, 80s, 90s, you name it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Just this morning we were playing, is it Petey Pablo? Freak a Leak?
Yeah.
How you like that, daddy? From the front. How you like that, daddy? From the back. How you like I brought that back in the rotation. You know when you're on Spotify and you're like, dang, that's a good song. So I brought that back. So that one I've been in the rotation, and everybody's always like, oh yeah, I forgot. Oh, that's a fun one.
Yes, that definitely is. And lastly, how do you end the day?
Ooh, great question. This was a learned skill, and I end it by brushing my teeth. It may sound so simple and pivotal that you learn when you're 5 years old, but I used to fall out of the habit and like fall asleep on the couch. But I know as soon as I brush my teeth, that's when it's time for bed.
Yes.
And I had to set an alarm on my phone like a little kid. And this was in 2018. Brush your teeth. Brush every day. Brush it until now. It's such a habit. I never go to bed without brushing my teeth.
I like it, because you're right. You are right. A lot of times you will just like say, oh, okay, I'm going to get up and do that. I'm just going to watch TV a little bit. And then you
stay on the couch. It ain't right?
Next thing you know, you're like, oh, I'm asleep. And now I'm just going to get up and go to bed.
Yeah. Last
like, whose teeth?
Okay. I'm not the only one. Right? Yeah, it was like a habit that was not serving me. And I'm like, I gotta change this. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Joanna, thank you so much for popping on to the show today and giving us some actual like real life resources that we can use, especially not only as entrepreneurs, but as just people in general. So this was great.
Yes, and it'll help. It's all connected. Thank you guys
Yes.
so much for having me. Glow up,
Yes.
girls. Thank you. Shout out to all of you.
All right, stay tuned, everyone. I'll be right back.